Welcome back, everybody. We're here to pull cards for December the 12th. I am going to be pulling one card for overall energy, and then after that, we'll look at the cards for the energies of each particular sign as we go through this, and we'll see how the overall energy interacts with that to give us our meaning for each sign. And I am working things a little bit differently because this deck is different. If you want to find out more about how that's happening, you can always go back to the intro on December the 9th to find that out. Okay, so overall energy is that side of the Five of Cups. This just tells me that we are talking once again about something that has happened in the past. And what has happened in the past is that we have dealt with some kind of disappointment. All right, so this can be about us, or this can be about somebody in our sphere of influence. We'll understand that a little bit more as we look at each individual sign. And let's just jump right in. I think these cards are ready to rock and roll. Aries, we're looking at you guys first. Interesting. So, excuse me. So, what we have coming up here is the Two of Wands and the Death card. So, death, for those of you who have not been watching me a while, does not generally have to do with somebody dying. It does have to do with a big transition or a big change that we make in our lives, though. So, with this overall energy, there has been some type of disappointment, and this disappointment has opened our eyes to the idea that, we have a choice about how we handle this, how we move forward, what we want to do with this situation. And so this is something that we're coming to that understanding or that realization today, even though this disappointment is in the past. So maybe it happened yesterday, maybe it happened a couple months ago, but we're starting to understand that we have options about how we want to handle this. And that is more of a current time frame. And then with the death card coming up, this is telling us that, we are one of those options definitely is that we can make some changes. And with the death card, these are changes that have to do with our perspective, or at least they start with our perspective. The idea of we can look at this situation in a number of ways, and changing our perspective to something that is actually beneficial and helpful to us is a really good idea. And so I see that you have options about how to deal with this, and I see you really the option that you're using is changing your perspective around this so that this can propel you into a more happy, a more productive, a more resourceful part of your life. Okay, so yes, the disappointment is there, Spirit's acknowledging it, but it is propelling you forward in a positive direction. Okay, next up, we're going to look at Taurus. So, Taurus, Five of Cups in the overall, plus we have the Page of Cups showing up in the center, and it's that side, so it's something in the past. And then also the Two of Wands, once again, that side. So, we're looking at a situation from the past that is somehow impacting our day today. Maybe we need to take the lesson that we learned from this situation and use it today. Or maybe we just need a new perspective on it to help us deal with whatever is showing up in our experience today in a better way. So, this is saying that in the past there was something that was disappointing Taurus, and this really has to do with the idea of basically letting somebody know how did this go actually. It seems to me like in the past, somebody let you know how they felt about you, how much they cared about you. And you may not have been able to say that you felt that same way. And so I think that in the past, you just basically responded in the way you felt like you should respond, should respond. And so it looks like today that's having an impact on today. And so it's good to look at that and realize that, maybe I didn't walk in as much integrity as I could have with that. Maybe it would have worked out better if I would have said what actually the truth was instead of saying what I felt like I should say. And so there's a perspective on this about the idea, maybe you're in a situation today where it's really easy or it seems really easy to say whatever you feel like you should say. And with the lesson that you've got from the past, maybe you're recognizing, what I would rather stand in my integrity and say the real deal than have a situation where now I have to track along and act like what I said is really the truth when it wasn't. And now I have regrets about saying something that wasn't the truth. Okay, so that's what we've got coming up for Taurus. Next, we're looking at Gemini. So, Geminis, you guys have the. Oh, yeah, we did see the Page of Cups before. I was like, how come we're having the same card again? Well, that's happening with this deck. Okay, so Geminis, you guys have the Page of Cups. You've got this side, and it is showing up in reverse. Same thing, this side of the Two of Swords also in reverse. And we have a Five of Cups, that side showing up. So there has been some kind of disappointment that has happened in the past. And I think with this disappointment, it has brought you some confusion about where you thought things were going. It has brought some confusion about, for you, about the vision of the future. Whatever this disappointment was, sort of impacts that you're seeing the future differently, and you're just not exactly sure which way you're seeing the future now with that Two of Swords in reverse. Now, with the Page of Cups coming up also in reverse, this is basically telling me that somebody is letting you know exactly how they feel about you. They're being very honest with you here. And I think that that is, for this is interesting because I'm getting two storylines that are really different. For some of you, having somebody tell you how they really feel about you is just adding to that confusion. But for others of you, knowing having somebody tell you how they feel about you is really helping you to make a decision about which way you want to go forward with the situation or from the situation. Okay, so there is some confusion here because of some disappointment in the past. We do have somebody letting you know how they feel about you. For some of you, that's adding to the confusion, and for others of you, that's helping you to make a decision about what way you want to move forward into the future. All right, let's look next at Cancer. Boom, ba doo doo. Cancers. That side of the Two of Swords, right side up, plus we have the High Priestess right in the middle, along with that Five of Cups showing up in the past, actually, Five of Cups that side. So this tells me that there has been some type of disappointment in your past, Cancer, that you were able to make a decision about once it happened. You're able to make a decision about how you wanted to move forward after you found out about this disappointment. And it looks to me like with the High Priestess, I think that you're not necessarily telling everybody what your plans are moving forward. This is kind of a situation where, well, that's for me to know and you to find out type of thing. So you've got some ideas about how you want to move forward and you are taking action on them. I don't think you're sharing that with everybody. Okay. Doesn't mean that it's bad or has any kind of negative impact. Just means that you're not feeling the need to share this information. Okay. Next up, we're going to look at Leo. Leo. Okay, Leos. Boo-ba-doo-doo-doo. That's what I thought. Okay, so we have that side of every single card that's on the table for you. And the first card being that overall energy of the Five of Cups being that side. And then we also have that side of the Ace of Swords in reverse and the High Priestess in reverse. So basically, this is telling me that there was something that was disappointing for you that was in the past, and that this really was. Um, I think that you had given somebody some kind of advice, information, heads up. You had passed along some type of good information to somebody else. And I think that when you did that, it's interesting how this shows up because I think that when you did that, the other person didn't pay that much attention to you. In fact, they probably gave credit for this idea to somebody completely different than you. And this has you with that high priestess showing up in reverse. This has you really confused. Like you're wondering what happened there? Why was there that disconnect showing up there? So there's a little bit of confusion going on there. So that's something that, you may want to have a conversation with this person about how that happened, or maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. I do want to look into a little bit about, I want to clarify this point of confusion. Like, I want best advice for you around this point of confusion. Okay. And this is for who? That's for Leo. What's advice for Leo around this whole point of confusion about this person giving somebody else credit for their idea or information that they shared with them? Hmm. This basically has to do with the idea that you have natural leadership skills and abilities with this card coming up here, but you weren't really how you presented this thought that you sent to somebody, you were presenting it in a way that was not in your normal sense of authority with your normal confidence. And so, because you weren't confident about presenting this thought, I think when somebody else presented it later, then this person that you presented it to gave credit to that other person that had the confidence as they were saying this. So I'm going to say if you want credit for giving this thought or this advice to somebody, you want to say it with confidence. You want to switch that energy up. You want to say what you need to say with full confidence instead of in a I don't know, but maybe type of way. All right. So that's for Leo. Next up, let's look at Virgo. Okay, so Virgos, you guys have the Hierophant, this side, no, that side of the Hierophant showing up in reverse. That is the Hierophant, right? Yes. So that side of the Hierophant showing up in reverse, plus the Ace of Swords, this side, right side up, along with that side of the Five of Cups in the overall. So, interesting. This is basically telling me that in the past you were feeling disappointed because of some kind of information or advice that somebody gave you that was not solid advice. It was not good. In fact, it was the type of advice that if you followed it, it moved you backwards instead of forwards. And for those of you who didn't follow it, I think you knew it would take you backwards instead of forwards. But I still think you were really disappointed that somebody would give you advice like this, especially this particular somebody, because I do feel like this somebody who gave you this bad advice is somebody that you do, or at least you did look up to. And I think that what's going on is today you're understanding that this was bad advice. You're getting the idea. You're seeing clearly what the truth of the situation is, and you're understanding that that advice was not the best advice to follow. Okay? So I hope you didn't already follow it. I hope you're understanding this before you actually followed that advice. That would be nice. I don't know if that's true for all of you, though. All right, so Leo Virgo. Next, we're looking at Libra. So Libra's Five of Cups in the overall, along with that side of Strength in reverse, and the Hierophant showing up here. Okay, so Leo's, because of some type of disappointment in the past, I think that there was a commitment or a contract that you were involved in or engaged in that you became unsure about with that strength card in reverse. You became really unsure about whether this was something that you wanted to move forward with. Today, what we see is we see you moving forward with that contract or commitment. Okay, so it looks like you've decided that in spite of the disappointment it's still worth moving forward with the contract or commitment. That's what it looks like, the way the energy is sitting right now. Now you have free will, you get to decide whatever you want, but that's the way the energy is showing up at this moment. All right, so that was Libra. Next up, we're looking at Scorpio. Okay, Scorpios. All right, so Five of Cups showing up in the overall, along with that side of the Justice card and this side of the Strength card, both right side up. All right, so there was some type of decision that was made that was no good for you. It wasn't, it was a disappointing decision that happened. I don't think anybody tried to do this in any kind of unfair way, but still, this decision was made and it was disappointing for you. However, with the Strength card, what we see is that now you're in a stronger position, a more self confident position. You're understanding your own strength, your own authority now. Now that that has happened, it has given you a chance to step back and look at that situation, that that judgment that was disappointing was made, and recognize that, you know what, I've got more strength around me than what people realize, and maybe even more than what we realized to begin with. So we're gaining back our strength, we're gaining back our self confidence, we're gaining back our sense of authority. And it looks like this disappointing decision actually propelled us into having this positive outcome that we're seeing today. Okay, and let's see, that was Scorpio. So next up, we're going to look at Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Look, your card's right there in the middle, Sagittarius. So lovers showing up, and this is that side of the lovers card. It is right side up. And then, of course, we have the Five of Cups, that side of the Five of Cups in the overall. And we have the Justice card showing up in reverse, this side of it. Okay, so Sagittarius, what we have going on here is there is some kind of disappointment showing up for you. And this disappointment has to do with the idea that there was a judgment that was made that impacts or influences you, or is being made, I guess I should say. Um, and it impacts some type of partnership that you were in or that you thought you were in, maybe I'm hearing for some of you. And this decision is not really a fair decision. And it's coming up because of some kind of disappointment in the past. So this could be that somebody decides, you know, I no longer want to be in a partnership with you, Sagittarius, and this could be really disappointing. They could be deciding that too. Um, Interestingly enough, for me, when the Justice card shows up in reverse like this talks about this talks about two parties being in a partnership, and the partnership is not even. One party is putting a lot more energy, effort, time, money, whatever, into making this partnership work, where there's another one not putting that much into it, getting a lot out of it, but not putting that much into it. And this, for me, Justice card in reverse talks about the person who is investing less in the partnership being the person who decides to walk away from that partnership. I see that as a very unfair type of decision. Okay, so to me, this talks about that there's been some kind of disappointment in the past that has blown up in the person's mind who is putting less into the relationship to start with, or less into the partnership to start with. And now they are deciding, you know what, I'm walking away from this partnership. Now, just to clarify, this actually can be a romantic partnership. This could be a marriage. This could be some other type of committed romantic relationship. However, partnerships are not limited to romantic relationships. This could be a business partnership. This could have been a good friendship where you guys accomplished a lot together. It does not have to be a marriage or a committed relationship in the romantic side of the house. So, Just keep that in mind whenever we talk about relationships. They're not or partnerships, they're not all necessarily romantic. Okay? So, ba ba da da ba ba. All right, who was that anyway? That was Sagittarius. Next up, we're looking at Capricorns. Okay, Capricorns. Do 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 do. What do we have? Okay, starting off with overall energy, you do have the Five of Cups, that side. You've also got the Nine of Coins showing up in reverse, and you also have the Lovers in reverse. So, Capricorns, this talks about the idea that there was some kind of disappointment in the past, and there is some type of that disappointment centered around the idea of the end of a partnership, the end of being able to see things from the same page in that partnership. And I think what's going on here is you are actually coming into a place where you miss that partnership. This is kind of like feeling homesick or missing a person. You may be feeling like there are things missing in your life because that partnership is not a part of your life anymore. So this can be, a business partnership. This can be a romantic partnership, any kind of partnership, just like I just talked about with Sagittarius. All right, next let's look at Aquarius. Okay, so Aquarius, Aquarius. What do we have here? We do have the Five of Cups showing up that side. Everything actually on the table for you is that side. So Five of Cups that side, also Emperor in reverse that side, and the Nine of Coins right side up that side. Okay, so there has been some kind of disappointment for those of you with Capricorn in your chart, and this disappointment has already happened. Um, and so this disappointment had to do with the idea that you were dealing with somebody with strong narcissistic tendencies, and that person basically uh, disappeared. Rather than continue forward with the plans that you had, that person just disappeared. And I think that that left you sort of in the lurch a little bit. At the same time, though, even though I think that that was disappointing for you, it left you independent and self sufficient. So it's interesting how this plays out for those of you with Aquarius placements because this talks about interacting with a narcissistic type personality, being disappointed by that, and yet at the same time, that made you more independent and self sufficient. It actually gave you um, a new lease on life, is what I'm hearing from Spirit. I think it showed you that you were able to take care of yourself without any help or assistance, possibly interference from this other person. Okay, so who is that? That's Aquarius. Next up, we're going to look at Pisces. All right, so Pisces, you guys have the Five of Cups with the Six of Swords in reverse, with the Emperor showing up here. Pisces, I think you had a Five of Cups situation in your past that was some type of disappointment. And I think that when that disappointment happened, it really put you in a position where you felt like, you know what? No more. This is not going to happen again. I see you taking charge of the situation with the emperor, and I see you making some type of lifestyle change that improves your quality of living right now or improves the potential for you to have a longer, more healthy life. All right. So I really think that disappointment was the motivation for you to start making some changes and just sort of take control of things instead of just sort of free floating and seeing where you end up. Okay. So that's what I've got for everybody today. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. I do appreciate it. Thank you for being the sponsors of this channel and putting a thumbs up, also sharing with other people who may benefit from this as well. And of course, put some feedback down below. I always love to read through you guys' comments. Everybody have a fantastic day. Peace out.